I thought my wife Jessica and I had a good marriage for 8 years. We supported each other through thick and thin, celebrating small victories and comforting each other during tough times. When she started her fitness journey last year, I was nothing but supportive. I bought her workout equipment and adjusted our meals to healthier options. What I never expected was how her physical transformation would change her feelings toward me. As the pounds melted away, so did her love and respect. Before I tell you how my wife of 8 years blindsided me with divorce papers, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had someone you love change right before your eyes. Jessica and I met during our second year at community college. Both of us were struggling financially, working multiple jobs while trying to finish our degrees. I was bussing tables at a local restaurant and taking night classes in business administration. She was working at a retail clothing store and studying to become a dental hygienist. We met in the campus library at 3 a.m, both of us cramming for finals and looking absolutely exhausted. I offered her my last packet of instant coffee, and she smiled at me with such genuine appreciation that I was instantly drawn to her. There was something refreshingly authentic about Jessica. She never pretended to be someone she was not. She was curvy and comfortable in her own skin at that time, though she would occasionally mention wanting to lose weight someday. "I like how you look right now," I told her on our third date. "You are beautiful exactly as you are." The warmth in her eyes when I said those words made me feel like the luckiest man alive. She later told me no guy had ever made her feel so accepted. We dated for 2 years before getting married, in a modest ceremony at her parents' backyard. Neither of us wanted to start our marriage in debt, so we kept things simple. Our honeymoon was a weekend getaway to a lake cabin owned by my uncle. We promised each other that someday when we had saved enough money, we would take a proper honeymoon to Hawaii. Our first apartment was tiny with barely enough room for our second-hand furniture, but it was ours. Jessica decorated it with photos and thrift store finds that made it feel like home. Every night we would talk about our dreams for the future while sitting on our worn couch. We planned to buy a house in a good school district, have 2 children, and eventually start our own business together. The first 5 years of our marriage were not perfect, but they were happy. We fought occasionally about normal things like household chores and budgeting, but we always made up before going to bed. Jessica gained a bit more weight after marriage, reaching her heaviest at around 180 pounds. But it never bothered me. I loved her curves and told her so frequently. Things began to change after her annual checkup last year. The doctor told Jessica her blood pressure was concerningly high for someone her age and strongly recommended she lose weight. She came home that day looking scared. "Armin, I do not want to die young," she said, tears in her eyes. "My dad had his first heart attack at 45. I need to get serious about my health." I immediately went into supportive husband mode. That weekend, I bought her a fitness tracker and some workout clothes. I cleared space in our spare room for a small home gym with secondhand weights and a yoga mat. I started cooking healthier meals with more vegetables and lean protein. I even offered to exercise with her in the mornings before work. "You are the best husband," Jessica said, hugging me tightly. "I am so lucky to have you in my corner." For the first 2 months, everything seemed great. Jessica was making steady progress, losing about 2 pounds per week through a combination of cardio strength training and portion control. She had more energy and seemed happier. We even started going on weekend hikes together, something we had never done before. I felt like our marriage was getting stronger as we embraced this healthier lifestyle together. Then, Jessica met Tiffany at a community fitness class. Tiffany was a personal trainer who worked at Elevation, an exclusive gym across town. The memberships there cost more per month than we typically spent on groceries. "Tiffany says I have great potential," Jessica told me excitedly one evening. "She thinks with the right training I could even enter a fitness competition next year." "That sounds expensive," I said cautiously. "Our budget is already pretty tight with the car repair last month." Jessica frowned. "So you do not want me to be healthy?" "That is not what I said at all. I just think we need to be smart about how we spend our money. She became distant that evening, constantly checking her phone and ignoring my attempts at conversation. The next day, I discovered she had signed up for the premium membership at Elevation and scheduled 3 personal training sessions per week with Tiffany. I used my personal savings, she said defensively when I questioned her about it. This is important to me, Armin. I thought you would understand. I backed off, not wanting to seem unsupportive, but something had shifted in our relationship. Jessica started spending more and more time at Elevation. She would leave for work in the morning with her gym bag, not returning until 8 or 9 at night, exhausted but somehow energized by her new routine. Our anniversary fell on a Wednesday that year. I made reservations at the Italian restaurant where we had celebrated our first date. I left work early to buy flowers and her favorite chocolates, then rushed home to shower and change. At 6:30, when Jessica had not arrived, I called her. "Oh my God, I completely forgot," she said, sounds of clanking gym equipment in the background. "I am in the middle of a training session right now. Can you cut it short? Our reservation is for 7. Armin, I cannot just leave. Tiffany has a client after me, and this session was really expensive. Can we reschedule for the weekend?" I sat alone at our kitchen table, the candles I had set out slowly melting. At 9:15, Jessica finally came home, her hair wet from the gym shower. Instead of an apology, she showed me a gym selfie she had taken that day. "Look, you can finally see my collarbones again," she said, completely oblivious to the flowers that were now wilting on the table. That night, as Jessica slept soundly beside me, I stared at the ceiling and felt the first real pang of fear for our marriage. Over the next few months, Jessica transformed before my eyes. She lost over 50 pounds, toned her entire body, and completely changed her appearance. She dyed her naturally brown hair blonde, got a sophisticated new haircut, and began wearing makeup daily, something she had rarely done before. She replaced her entire wardrobe with expensive athletic wear and stylish outfits I had never seen her wear before. On a physical level, she looked amazing, but the internal changes worried me far more than the external ones. The kind, down-to-earth woman I married was disappearing, replaced by someone obsessed with appearances and status. "Do you really need to wear that shirt?" she asked one Saturday morning as we prepared to go grocery shopping. "It makes you look so sloppy." I looked down at my favorite comfortable flannel that I had owned for years. "What is wrong with my shirt?" "Nothing, if you do not care how you present yourself." She sighed and scrolled through her phone, not making eye contact. "People are going to wonder what I am doing with someone who looks like they just rolled out of bed." Comments like these became increasingly common. Jessica criticized everything from my clothes to my haircut to the way I ate. She started suggesting I should get a better job, though I had recently been promoted to assistant manager at the company where I had worked for 6 years. "Brad drives a Tesla," she said one day, referencing someone I had never met. "He is only 30 and already making 6 figures in real estate." "Good for Brad," I replied, trying to hide my growing irritation. "But we are doing fine. We have savings, we are putting money toward a house down payment, and we have no debt except your credit cards." Those credit cards had become another point of contention. Jessica was spending more and more on things we could not afford. Expensive gym supplements, designer workout clothes, salon treatments, and dinners with her new friends from Elevation. When I brought up the mounting bills, she became defensive. "I am investing in myself," she said coldly. "Maybe you should try it sometime." One night I found a receipt in her gym bag for a dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. The total came to over $200 for 2 people. When I asked her about it, she claimed it was a networking dinner with Tiffany to discuss fitness competition strategies. Something about her explanation did not sit right with me, but I had no proof of anything inappropriate. As Jessica became more fit, she also became more secretive. She changed her phone password and started taking calls in another room. She began going out at night with her new fitness friends, people I had never met, and was not invited to meet. When she came home, she smelled of expensive perfume and alcohol. "Why do you not invite me along sometime?" I asked after she returned from another late night out. It was after midnight and she was slightly tipsy. "You would not fit in with these people, Armin," she said, kicking off her heels. "They are all into fitness and health. You would be bored and uncomfortable. Or maybe they would just look down on me," I said, the hurt evident in my voice. Jessica did not deny it. She just shrugged and headed to the bathroom to remove her makeup. I started working overtime to try to keep up with her growing expenses. We had always kept joint accounts, viewing our marriage as a partnership. Now I watched our savings dwindle as Jessica spent money faster than I could earn it. The stress was affecting my sleep, my health, and my performance at work. One evening, Jessica announced that she wanted to move to a more upscale neighborhood across town. The rents there were nearly double what we currently paid. "We cannot afford that," I said firmly. "Not with our current income and spending habits." "Maybe you need to be more ambitious," she shot back. "I am changing and improving myself. Why are you not doing the same?" "I am working 60-hour weeks trying to pay for your improvements," I said, finally losing my cool. "When exactly am I supposed to transform my entire career?" She stormed out that night and did not come home. I called her repeatedly, terrified that something had happened to her, only to have her text me at 4 in the morning saying she was staying at a friend's house because she needed space. Depression began creeping into my life. I felt inadequate, unattractive, and increasingly alone in my own marriage. The woman who had once loved me for exactly who I was now seemed to find everything about me disappointing. I started to wonder if she was right. Maybe I was not good enough. Maybe I should have been working harder, earning more, looking better. The breaking point came when I borrowed Jessica's laptop to pay bills, because mine was being repaired. A notification popped up from her Instagram direct messages. I normally would never invade her privacy, but the preview message made my heart stop. "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Our special training session will be unforgettable." The message was from Jason, not Tiffany. I had never heard Jessica mention a trainer named Jason. With shaking hands, I clicked on the message thread and felt my world collapse. The messages were flirtatious, filled with inside jokes and subtle sexual innuendos. They discussed how her body was changing with Jason, commenting inappropriately on specific parts of her physique. There were plans for private sessions and meetups that were clearly not just about fitness. When Jessica came home that night, I confronted her with what I had found. "You went through my private messages," she shouted, immediately going on the offensive. "How dare you violate my privacy like that?" "Who is Jason?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "And why are you having special training sessions with him that I never heard about?" "He is just another trainer at Elevation." "You are being paranoid and controlling." She grabbed her keys. "I cannot believe you do not trust me. This is exactly why I need space from this relationship." She left again, and this time stayed away for the entire night. When she returned the next morning to change clothes for work, we had the worst fight of our marriage. "Maybe if you took care of yourself the way Jason does, I would not need to look elsewhere for motivation," she said cruelly. "Have you seen the guys at my gym? They have ambition, drive, and bodies they actually care about. What do you have to offer? Besides a mediocre job and a dad bod?" Her words cut through me like a knife. After she left for work, I sat on our bed and cried for the first time since my grandfather died. The marriage I thought would last forever was disintegrating before my eyes, and I felt powerless to stop it. I picked up an extra shift at work the following week, trying to keep my mind off my failing marriage. Jessica and I had barely spoken since our fight, sleeping on opposite sides of the bed and communicating only when absolutely necessary. I hoped that having some space might help cool tensions, so we could have a rational conversation about our future. When I returned home after working 12 hours straight, I found the divorce papers sitting on our kitchen table. Jessica was packing a suitcase in our bedroom. "What is this?" I asked, holding up the legal documents with trembling hands. "I think it is pretty obvious," she replied without looking up from her packing. "I want a divorce. After 8 years, this is how you tell me. With papers on the table while you are already packing to leave." She finally stopped and faced me. The woman standing before me looked like a stranger. With her perfect makeup, expensive workout outfit, and cold eyes, she bore little resemblance to the warm, genuine person I had fallen in love with. I have outgrown this marriage, Armin. I have put in the work to transform myself, and I deserve better than being held back by someone who refuses to improve. Held back, I was dumbfounded. I have supported you every step of the way. I bought your first workout equipment. I changed our diet. I worked overtime to pay for your expensive gym membership, and I am grateful for that, she said, though her tone conveyed anything but gratitude. But I need more than this. I need someone on my level. She zipped up her suitcase and finally looked me in the eye. I have been talking to divorce attorneys for weeks. Margaret is letting me stay at her place until I find my own apartment. We can sell the house and split the proceeds. Margaret was one of her wealthy gym friends, a woman I had never met but had heard about constantly. She had a penthouse downtown, and apparently no job, living off a generous divorce settlement from her ex-husband. You cannot just leave like this, I pleaded, my pride evaporating in the face of losing everything. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. There is nothing to work through, Jessica said, grabbing her suitcase. I know what I want now, and it is not this life. Not with you. She left that night, taking only her clothes and personal items. I sat in our half-empty bedroom, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, and felt like I was drowning. I called her repeatedly, leaving voicemails begging her to reconsider, to at least talk things through before making such a permanent decision. Jessica did not answer my calls, but she did text me the next day. Please respect my decision. The lawyer will contact you about next steps. The following weeks were the darkest of my life. I barely functioned at work, making careless mistakes that earned me a formal warning from my supervisor. I lost weight because I could not bring myself to eat. I would stare at the wedding photos still hanging on our walls and wonder where I had gone wrong. One night, after drinking too much whiskey, I found a box of Jessica's old love letters in the back of our closet. Notes she had written to me during college, filled with declarations of eternal love and appreciation for how I made her feel accepted and valued. Reading those words while knowing she was now living with a wealthy friend, probably going on dates with men who drove Teslas and had perfect abs, broke something inside me. I lost all sense of self-worth. When Jessica texted asking if I had contacted a lawyer yet, I told her I had not and did not plan to. Whatever you want in the divorce, I will not fight it. I wrote back, I just want you to be happy. Her response was immediate. I want to sell the house as soon as possible. I need my share of the equity to put a deposit on a new place. The house we had been saving for years to buy. The house where we had planned to raise our children. She wanted to sell it immediately so she could move on to her new, improved life. Social media made everything worse. Though I tried to avoid looking, mutual friends would mention seeing Jessica at exclusive clubs and restaurants, always dressed impeccably, often in the company of fit, wealthy-looking men. She had completely rebranded herself on Instagram as a fitness lifestyle influencer, posting workout videos and inspirational quotes about leveling up and not settling. Our friends gradually stopped inviting me to gatherings. I later learned that Jessica had told them I was controlling and unsupportive of her healthy changes. Most believed her version of events without ever asking for my side of the story. The final humiliation came when I realized I could not afford our rent on my single income, especially after the recent expenses Jessica had accumulated. I had to move back in with my parents temporarily at 35 years old, packing my belongings into my car while neighbors watched curiously. The night I moved into my childhood bedroom, I hit rock bottom. I lay on the same twin bed I had slept in as a teenager and contemplated how my life had fallen apart so completely. I had lost my wife, my home, many of my friends, and most of my savings. I felt like a complete failure. My father knocked on my door around midnight. He sat on the edge of my bed just as he had done when I was a child, afraid of the dark. I know it does not feel like it now, he said quietly, but this may be the best thing that could have happened to you. How can you say that? I asked, my voice hoarse from crying. I have lost everything. No, son. You lost someone who did not appreciate what she had. There is a big difference. He patted my shoulder. The woman who left you is not the same woman you married. The Jessica you loved died. Somewhere along the way, replaced by someone you would never have chosen to marry in the first place. His words hit me with unexpected force. He was right. The Jessica who had filed for divorce was not the woman I had fallen in love with. She was someone entirely new, someone whose values and behavior were completely at odds with the person I had married. You deserve someone who loves you for who you are, my father continued. Not someone who only values you when you fit into their idea of what you should be. That conversation became my turning point. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney recommended by a coworker who had recently been through a similar situation. When I explained everything to her, especially the financial aspects, she looked thoughtful. Have you kept records of all these expenses your wife has been accumulating? She asked. Most of them, yes. They are all on our joint credit cards. And this all started after you purchased the house together. With money you both saved. I nodded. Mr. Walker, I think you are in a much stronger position than you realize. Your wife appears to have been engaging in financial misconduct, spending marital assets irresponsibly while planning to leave the marriage. A judge would look very unfavorably on that behavior. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I realized I did not have to simply lie down and accept whatever terms Jessica wanted to dictate. That same day, I set up a separate bank account and transferred half of our remaining joint funds into it. I canceled the joint credit cards and requested a detailed accounting of all transactions for the past year. I changed the locks on the house as legally advised by my attorney since Jessica had abandoned the property. And I began documenting every interaction with Jessica, saving texts and emails as evidence. When Jessica found out what I had done, she was livid. You cannot cut me off like this, she screamed over the phone. I need that money. I did not cut you off, I replied calmly. I simply secured my half of our marital assets as advised by my attorney. Your half is still in the joint account. But the credit cards have been maxed out by you for months, I finished. If you need credit, you can apply for your own cards. I will no longer be financing a lifestyle that excludes me. There was a long silence before she hung up on me. With clear legal guidance and a renewed sense of self-respect, I began rebuilding my life. I focused on excelling at work, channeling all my pain and frustration into productivity. My boss noticed the change, and when a senior position opened up in another department, he recommended me. The promotion came with a significant salary increase and better hours. I also started taking care of my physical health, though for very different reasons than Jessica had. I joined a community center gym with reasonable membership fees and worked with a certified trainer once a week to learn proper techniques. I did not have dramatic before and after photos to post on social media, but I gradually gained strength, endurance, and confidence. The friends who had stuck by me, those who had seen through Jessica's narrative, or at least cared enough to hear my side, began inviting me out again. Slowly, my social life recovered. I even reconnected with old college friends Jessica had deemed not ambitious enough for our social circle. My attorney proved to be worth every penny. She successfully argued that I should remain in our house until the divorce was finalized, given that Jessica had voluntarily left the marital home. She also built a strong case regarding Jessica's financial misconduct, gathering evidence of lavish spending that had begun shortly before she filed for divorce. As the legal process unfolded, I learned that Jessica's perfect new life was not so perfect after all. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard that her friendship with Margaret had soured after 3 months of cohabitation. Apparently, Margaret had grown tired of Jessica using her connections and resources without contributing much in return. Jason, the personal trainer, was revealed to have been carrying on similar special relationships with at least 4 other female clients simultaneously. When Jessica confronted him about it, he reportedly laughed and told her she was just another client with a credit card. The most significant blow to Jessica's new lifestyle came when she lost her job at the dental office where she had worked for 6 years. Her frequent tardiness and unexplained absences, presumably for gym sessions and social engagements, had finally caught up with her. Without a steady income, she could not qualify for the luxury apartment she had been planning to lease. 6 months into our separation, I received an unexpected text from Jessica. "Can we talk in person? It is important." Against my better judgment and my attorney's advice, I agreed to meet her at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. When Jessica walked in, I was surprised by her appearance. She still looked fit and attractive, but her expensive highlights had grown out, revealing her natural brown roots. Her designer outfit had been replaced by simpler clothing, and she wore much less makeup than in recent months. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. "I know you probably hate me right now." "I do not hate you," I replied honestly. "I am just trying to move forward with my life." She fidgeted with her coffee cup. "I have been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us. About everything that happened." She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "I made a terrible mistake, Armin. I was not myself. I got caught up in this whole fitness world and lost perspective on what really matters. I waited unsure where this was heading." "I miss you," she finally said. "I miss our life together. I miss the security and comfort we had. Now that I have had time to reflect, I realize how good we were together. Before you transformed yourself and decided I was not good enough for you," I said, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. Jessica winced. "I deserve that," I said, "and did horrible things. But people can change their minds, right? They can realize they made a mistake." "What exactly are you saying, Jessica?" She reached across the table for my hand. I did not pull away, but I did not grasp her hand either. "I want to try again," she said softly. "I want to see if we can reconcile. Maybe go to counseling like you suggested before. I was wrong to throw away 8 years of marriage without even trying to fix things." 6 months earlier, these words would have been everything I wanted to hear. I would have agreed immediately, pathetically, grateful for another chance. But as I looked at Jessica now, I felt strangely calm. "What happened with Margaret?" I asked. "And the luxury apartment?" And Jessica's expression changed slightly. "That is not important. What matters is that I realized you were the one who truly cared about me, not them. So they all abandoned you when things got tough," I said, understanding completely. "And now you want to come back to your safe option." "That is not fair," she protested. "I genuinely miss you." "I think it is exactly fair," I replied. "You miss the security I provided. You miss having someone who would support you no matter what, even when you treated them badly. But here is the thing, Jessica. I deserve better than that." The shock on her face was almost comical. These were her own words thrown back at her. "I deserve someone who values me consistently, not just when other options have failed," I continued. "I deserve someone who would never say the things you said to me, or treat me the way you treated me." "People make mistakes," she insisted. "I am admitting I was wrong." "Yes, they do, and some mistakes have permanent consequences." I stood up and put money on the table for our coffees. "The divorce will be finalized next month. I wish you well, Jessica, but we are not getting back together." As I walked out of that coffee shop, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. For the first time since Jessica had transformed herself physically, I realized that I had undergone a more important transformation internally. I had found my self-respect. The final divorce settlement was more favorable than I could have hoped for. The judge was not impressed by Jessica's financial behavior prior to filing, particularly after seeing evidence of the credit card debt she had accumulated. I was allowed to keep our house with a reasonable buyout to Jessica for her portion of the equity. She got to keep her car and her personal belongings, along with responsibility for the debt she had incurred. I purchased Jessica's share of the house with a combination of my savings and a small loan from my parents, which I paid back within a year thanks to my promotion. The house finally felt like mine, and I gradually redecorated, removing the last traces of Jessica's presence. Jessica made several more attempts to reconnect over the following months, each time alluding to how difficult her life had become and how much she missed what we had. Each time I responded politely but firmly that the divorce was final, and we needed to move forward separately. Eventually, the calls and texts stopped. Through social media, I learned that Jessica had moved to another state for a fresh start. I wished her well in my heart, but felt no desire to maintain any contact. A year after our divorce was finalized, I went on my first real date. Sarah was a kindergarten teacher I met through a mutual friend. She was smart, kind, and genuinely interested in who I was as a person. When she asked about my previous marriage, I told her the truth without bitterness or anger. Her loss, Sarah said simply, and changed the subject. I do not know if Sarah and I will end up together long term. What I do know is that I will never again lose myself in a relationship. I will never again let someone make me feel inadequate for being exactly who I am. The most important lesson I learned from my marriage to Jessica is that true transformation happens within. Jessica changed her outer appearance dramatically, but inside she became someone harder, more selfish, and ultimately less happy. My changes were less visible but far more significant. I learned to value myself, to set boundaries, and to recognize that love should never require you to become someone else. If you have ever been made to feel that you are not enough exactly as you are, please know that the right people will love you for your authentic self. The wrong people will always find something lacking, no matter how much you change to please them. What do you think? Have you ever experienced someone changing dramatically and leaving you behind? Leave a comment below and share your story. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to hear more stories about relationships, self-worth, and personal growth. Thank you for listening, and remember that you are worthy of genuine love and respect just as you are.